I feel like we've evolved to a place where, and even my wife, who's, she does the tan that comes in a lotion now because she's like, I don't want to be in the sun.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's really fascinating how we've evolved so fast from that vanity to now protection. And you've obviously gone through it from a different perspective, but I can't stress that enough to our audience. If you're not inspired by the story, at least learn something from what
Yep.
Paige is talking about, because you've lived this
Throw some
nightmare.
sunblock on. Yeah. Throw some sunblock on and protect your skin and just look at your skin, look at your spots and have a relationship. If you don't have a dermatologist, find one.
In a day and age, in a world where it feels like humans in general bitch about pretty much anything and everything that exists in this world, to how you feel the morning when you wake up, and maybe how your lunch came out at the restaurant you ate at, or how somebody responded to you on social media. I don't think a lot of humans realize what a real issue is, what a real challenge is. And today's episode of the Possibility Podcast brings a whole nother level and meaning to the word possibility. And so I am super excited to bring on Paige Noles, who is a processing assistant at one of our branches, one of the USA branches in Jonesboro, Arkansas. And she has a story that will absolutely inspire you. It will probably even possibly bring you to tears. And I'm excited to share this today because what Paige has gone through and is going through, and her positive attitude through the whole thing is absolutely inspirational. So, Paige, I'm going to stop my rambling right there. Welcome you to the show, and I'm
Thank
really
you.
excited to do this today.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So let's backtrack a little bit and tell us a little bit about yourself. You're obviously in the mortgage industry. That my first question would be why? Why in the hell did you choose the mortgage industry? So kind of give us your background of what led you to obviously where you are today in your career.
Yeah. So I've been in banking pretty much my whole life. I started out just being a little teller right out of high school at a local bank here in town and loved the people part of it. And that was in 1997. So I went through college 2 years and basically thought, you know what? I think I just like working. Don't know why I didn't finish college, but I didn't. Just went straight into banking and that's where I've been. And then a few years ago, I had a good friend that worked at USA Mortgage approach me about coming in strictly to mortgage lending. And I thought, hey, it's great. I'll do that. And that was 2020. And so 2020 what happened, and we were hot, and it was busy, and I was thrown into the fire, and it was sink or swim. And so I pedaled, and I kept my head above water and made it through. And that's kind of where it put me in mortgage. I kind of was thrown into the fire, like I said, and here we are. 4 years later, I'm still here.
Yeah, well, that was my next question. And you're still here.
I am, yeah.
That's amazing. And for multiple reasons. You're still here. You're still working. You're still
Yeah.
obviously, not taking days off. Now, so you were banking all the way up until 2020?
I was. Yep. I was in consumer and commercial loans. Not really in the mortgage part of it. We did short-term mortgage loans, but not the 30-year mortgage that I'm in now. It was a whole different ball game what I was doing before. And it was just the people is what I liked about it, the communication and dealing with my borrowers. And that's kind of what led me into taking a job in 2020 with USA Mortgage is I wanted to keep that people relationship open. And that's what kind of pushed me in the direction I am now.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And so now you've experienced, which is interesting because I'm a 25-year veteran of this industry, and so I've seen lots of these cycles, and no cycle in the 25 years I've been in the business has been anywhere near the boom that we had 2020, 2021, and then the relative crash that subsequently followed. And so now you've literally experienced the highest of highs, and I would argue probably one of the lowest of lows. What,
Yes,
from your perspective, which is not from an origination perspective, I imagine it's, it's hair on fire to, am I going to get laid off?
absolutely. It's a worry every day that I have. Friday, the same thing. I was like, what am I doing? Like I'm scared for my job. In 2020, it was a 4-year anniversary. I just had my 4-year anniversary. And I was like, in 2020, my pipeline was huge. And then here we are. I'm not saying that pipeline has, but it's dropped. And I was like, I'm scared for my job every single day, but I can't let that affect my job and my worry, because any job you have that concern, whether it's your pipeline, how long and deep it is, or just your everyday work schedule. I guess it could be a fear. And so I put that on my back burner and I'm just going to work and do the best that I can. If it happens, it happens. But I'm not going to let that worry me any longer.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
fear I have, in the mortgage world because of the ups and downs. And I've never really experienced it like it is now, but I'm just taking it day by day, just
Yeah.
like anything else.
Yeah. Well, and we're going to get to that.
Yeah.
And the truth is, just from my experience, and I'm pretty removed from that anymore, but I would tell anyone at this point, if you've made it this far, you're going to be all right. I'm pretty confident in that. I would say that to anyone. It was the last 2 years that was super dicey. And I think a lot of
Yeah.
people experienced that. It went from damn near writing your paycheck, which you probably didn't experience so much, but people with experience during 20 and 21, the demand was so high for good
Hmm.
support people that we literally, as we were interviewing and hiring people, some people had these obnoxious demands. And I remember thinking to myself, even saying to my partners, like, this is going to come back to bite you in the butt because you're going to get
Yeah.
overpaid, but then you're going to be the
Yep.
first one to get let go. Like this isn't going to last
Yes.
forever. And that's exactly what happened. And I think those people are out of the business. So it's always great to hear and talk to people that, A, have made it through, and B, are still here, because it's a testament to, obviously, and I'll tell you what, in many cases it was a tenure thing, and so the fact that you're still here, that you made it through, is a testament to obviously your work ethic, probably your ability, what you're capable of. So I applaud you. Great job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, cool. So all right, now that's a relatively short mortgage resume at this point, uh, a longer resume in this health journey now that you've been on. So let's to walk us through that, because this happened back, what, 2017 is when this started, right?
Initially in 2017 is when it kind of all started. I had no idea that, what would come about from a little mole that I had in 2017. And that's basically what happened. I had a mole on my arm, and my son noticed it. We were at the lake.
Yeah.
My son made a comment about it that he noticed this spot on my arm, and so I kind of took the next step and went to the doctor and kind of got checked out. And really, the first go around, they were like, it's fine, it's nothing. And then they did go ahead and take a biopsy of it, send it off, and it did come back melanoma, which required an in-office procedure. And it was pretty simple, I thought. The doctor just removed it in the clinic there, but he could not get a clear margin. And so what that means with melanoma is they keep basically taking the skin off and digging deeper until they get a reading of 0% that your melanoma is gone in that specific area. He couldn't get that in clinic. So it just required me to have the surgery with a surgeon, just a little kind of step up. And so I went to the hospital here in Jonesboro and had that procedure, and they were able to fully remove the spot and get clear margins. I thought everything was fine, and it was, up until about the end of 2022. I mean, I know that's a long time to wait,
Yeah.
but moving along, I thought, everything. My lymph nodes were fine in 2017, no problems.
So can I let me
Um,
stop you there for a second, because I got some questions, because as a guy that is not blessed with hair, I was told many, many years ago. That's why I've started wearing hats, and it just kind of became a brand. But it was because of protecting skin, right? And so I go to the dermatologist every year. You get checked out. When you say that you had a mole and even your child noticed it, what is that like? Describe that, because I think actually this is a really good educational piece for all of us with anything
Yeah,
on our skin.
it wasn't really big as far as like the size of an eraser. It was probably smaller than the size of an eraser. And I
On like a,
think
a
what
little eraser on a
a
pencil.
tiny,
Yeah.
yeah, like a
Okay.
tiny little spot. But I think what brought his attention is just that it was kind of changed colors. Like maybe it was bright red that day out in the water, and it kind of just like cued him in on it. So, kind of now, just educating myself through the process is that's one of the signs to look for. Is that the size is kind of the first thing they look at, but also if it does change color and texture and the borders are irregular, those are all signs for you to really key in and have it checked out.
Got
I
it.
didn't know that then, but just knowing now what I know, that's kind of key. And
And now,
for
was it when you said a clinic, was it like a dermatologist office or?
yeah, to my
Okay.
dermatologist,
Yeah.
yeah,
Because
like
they,
just
because they
in,
just freeze that stuff off or cut it right off right in the moment
yep,
nowadays.
yep. And that's exactly what he did. And he would they had the capability to check it right then to see if they were able to get, I say get it all. When I say that, I mean like completely clear my arm of melanoma, make sure there's nothing there. And he could not do that in clinic. So I had to go basically be put to sleep because they kind of had to dig deep, almost to my bone to get everything out. I had
Now,
pretty good indention in my arm.
did they display any concern at this point to you, or were they just kind of acting like, ah, this is pretty normal?
Pretty normal. Yeah. And I mean, it really is. And that spot that I had, I mean, for for someone like me, it's very normal. Maybe for you or someone else, melanoma is not thought of really, but it's very common and it's 100% preventable. I was an active tanning bed person in the sun, no sunscreen, no sunblock. I did not protect my skin. And I feel like that contributed to a lot to my problems. It was totally 100% on me. And that's one of the things I struggle with now is, it's preventable. A melanoma is, and it's curable, but it's preventable also. And it's how you take care of your skin.
Yeah, which it's interesting. My wife is in she's in hair, but she's around estheticians and skincare, and it's interesting how I
Hmm.
feel like the world, maybe it's my world because of the field she's in, but the days of, and I feel like it wasn't that long ago, 10, 15 years ago, when like tanning beds were mainstream. And
Oh,
I think
yeah,
you and I are a similar age to where that was really hot for a while. And it was like,
absolutely.
screw my skin. I need to be dark because that's vanity, right? And now
Uh-huh.
I feel like we've evolved to a place where, and even my wife, who's, she does this the tan that comes in a lotion now because she's like, I don't want to be in the sun.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's really fascinating how we've evolved so fast from that vanity to now protection. And you've obviously gone through it from a different perspective, but I can't stress that enough to our audience. If you're not inspired by the story, at least learn something from what
Yep.
Paige is talking about, because you've lived this
Throw some
nightmare.
sunblock on. Yeah, throw some sunblock on and protect your skin and just look at your skin, look at your spots and have a relationship. If you don't have a dermatologist, find a dermatologist and get that relationship to get an annual scan.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be every 3 months like I do or
Yeah.
every 6 months, but it's just an annual type thing, maybe every year and a half. Just to get it's not fun to go into a dermatologist and have them look at your whole body, but I mean it's one of those things that you just eventually just jump in the chair and they look at your leg and arm and
Yeah.
your hairline, you kind of go about your business. But
Yeah.
it's something that needs to be done. And I didn't do it. I didn't think of it. I didn't take care of myself. Didn't think I needed a dermatologist at that age. And you absolutely do.
Yeah, I agree. I love that. All right, so carry on. So now you went through this process and seemed fairly standard procedure.
Yep.
Now fast forward 5 years.
5 years. It was November of 2022. So, how you start your New Year resolution. I was thinking ahead. I was like, I'm going to get a jump start on my New Year's resolution going into 2023. I'm going to start working out. I'm going to hit the gym. I have a son that's graduating in 2023 and I got to get in shape. So that's where I started in 2022 in November. I started going to a little workout place by the house and I would make my appointment. It was at 4:15 in the morning. So I would get out of bed, throw my work clothes on, workout clothes on, and get to the gym at 4:15, stay there to about 5:15, come home, shower, and then get to work. And everything was moving along fine. I started having a pain in my side, in my left side, along with a sinus infection that I could not get rid of. And just being the time of year, November and December, I kind of chalked that up to like weather. Just,
The
I
pain
do get sinus
from
infection.
going to the gym, of
Yeah,
course,
I
you're going
was
to be
like,
sore.
I'm out
Yeah.
of shape. My side hurts because I'm out of shape, and I've created a new workout routine, and my body's just thinking, what the crap are you doing? So I justified everything that was in front of my face and wasn't acting on it that I should at the moment. I did eventually. But there was all kinds of signs in front of me that I wasn't picking up on. Um, so my sinus infection is what got me to the clinic, the urgent care clinic, not so much the pain at first. The sinus infection got pretty bad where I needed antibiotics and needed steroid. So I went to urgent care. And while I was in there, I told him, I was like, I'm having a pain on my side, my left side, and it's pretty bad. And the doctor there was like, we'll take an x-ray of your ribs. It could be the forceful coughing that you're having with the sinus infection. Goes hand in hand. It makes complete sense. They did an x-ray, and what the x-ray showed maybe was a hairline, little crack in my ribs to where it could be from a cough. So I had a sinus infection for 2 months. This is in January now. We're in 2023. I've been dealing with sinus infection for about 2 months. Still couldn't get rid of it. And the pain in my side was still there, and it was getting worse. It was almost unbearable. I could not tolerate the pain. And I have a pretty high pain tolerance, I think, for myself. And I probably went to the clinic. When I say clinic, urgent care clinic, I don't know, probably 4 times in 3 or 4 month time span, just because of pain and my sinus infection. And finally, the last few times, my family kind of pushed me, you need a CAT scan. You need to figure out what's the root of the problem with your sinuses. Get this fixed. The pain in your side, we need to figure out what's going on. So that's what I did. I asked for a CAT scan. They gave me the order for it, and I had the CAT scan done. And that's when we found out exactly what was going on. So I had my CAT scan done around 1:30 in the afternoon. I remember the time frame. I took my lunch break to
Well,
do my CAT scan.
where was this? So November was okay, New Year's resolution, get back to the gym. So when was
Mhm.
this when you got to this point?
So we're in probably February of 2023.
Okay, so it took a few months.
Yep, it took a few months for me just being stubborn, going to the doctor, trying to fight off the sinus infection, thinking it's just a sinus infection. My pain on my side is rib pain from me coughing from my sinus infection. There's nothing else wrong with me. I got to just get it under control. And but I think what kept pushing me back is the pain that I was having. I could not, every antibiotic and steroid would get rid of my sinus infection, but the pain in my side was still there, and so I could not knock it, and that was what was bringing me back to the doctor. Thankfully, so we're around February, I think February 2023 is when I had my CAT scan, and like I said, I just went on my lunch break and ran down to the up to the clinic here and had the CAT scan done, and they said it would be a couple of weeks and that we would send your results to your primary care physician, and then they will get in touch with you. And I was like, okay. And of course, me being the person that I am, if you don't know me, I don't like to wait. Like, I hate waiting. I want the answer now. I don't want to wait 2 weeks. I want to know what's going on with my body. And so that wait, I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. But 2 hours later, they called me. And I really kind of, looking back, knew when 2 hours, when they're calling me, it can't be good. They're not going to call someone 2 hours and say, good, congratulations, you got good results. They're going to make you wait the 2 weeks and get you into the doctor again. Nothing's good about a 2 hour phone call from a physician. So they called me in 2 hours and said, hey, can you come back up to the clinic? Urgent care. We need to go over your results with you. I'm like, sure. So I jump in the car and still not thinking this could be bad. Go up
They don't
alone.
ever tell you to come back into the office for results like that.
No, but I didn't think about that. I was just thinking, I'm getting my results early. This is great. two
Sure.
hours later, because I don't have to worry about this anymore. I'm getting the results, and I probably have cracked my rib from coughing, and we'll figure out a plan from here, and I'll be on my way. Um, so I went to the urgent care clinic and got right in the room. The nurse really didn't take my vitals at all, which I kind of thought, looking back now, I thought that's kind of strange. They basically wanted just to get me in, the doctor to get the results to me, and he came in pretty fast. And he said, we got your CAT scan results back, and he said, it doesn't look good. He said, the spot on your side is it's a mass, and it has penetrated and broke your ribs, and it's penetrated through your chest wall, and that's the pain that you're having. He said, the size of the mass is about the size of a lemon or a baseball size, and it's not little. And he said, you don't need to put this to rest, you need to act on it, and you need to get to a doctor and get this figured out, what's going on, and it's someone like an oncologist that can help you. He said that's our next step. And so my mind went crazy with, because I'm not in the medical field. I don't know what the next step is to do, and where to go, and who to call, and what appointments do I need. And everything was going through my mind 100 miles an hour, 100 miles an hour. Do I tell my family right now? Do I not tell my family? Just a lot of things processing. And so my sister works in the medical field, and thank God that I had her to fall back on, because she knew exactly where I needed to be. She escalated the appointments for me and kind of took the lead role and got me where I need to be as far as lining everything up. So I didn't have to mess and worry with it. I was very fortunate to have her guide me through where I needed to be. And then still yet we didn't tell all my family. We didn't tell Cooper, my son. He was about to graduate high school. We wanted 2023, we wanted it to be about him, not me having cancer. We wanted it to be, he was graduating. It was a fun time in his life. Like, well, I didn't want to run that for him. So we just decided to not tell him just yet, let him graduate. They wanted to schedule a bone biopsy just to confirm that it was melanoma. They were fairly certain it was,
So
just by
the diagnosis happens in February.
they yes, but only because I had my bone marrow, my bone, not marrow, my bone biopsy done in February. That 100% diagnosed me having melanoma after having the biopsy done.
That's where
Um,
they determined that you had the baseball in your rib cage.
so the CAT scan showed that the lemon size mass had broken through my rib cage, and the biopsy confirmed that that mass was indeed
But
melanoma.
that was February, and you're wanting to pause telling your son until
March, April,
May.
May. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
So we did all the prelim work we could do. When I say prelim, we did like the bone biopsy, um, got all my appointments scheduled with oncology, radiation, because we needed to get to radiation. We were trying to reduce the size of the lemon for pain control. My sister, thought, and it worked great. If you can reduce the size of the mass, it will help with the pain control on that left side that I was having. So we kind of did all of that without my son even knowing, because I wanted to get me in the best spot I could get before we told him. So I did a lot of prelim. I wanted factual information before I told anybody. I wanted to know for sure it was melanoma. I want to know what stage it was. I wanted to have a game plan in action. I wanted to be able, when I told my family, and when I say family, my mom knew, my husband knew, my sister, of course, knew, and my dad, and that was really it. My extended family and my friends, and even my work family, did not know what was going on because I wanted to be able to give them, like I said, 100% of what was going on when I told. I didn't want to have to
Yeah.
go through the story 1,000 times. Um, but now looking back, I've gone through my story 1,000 times, and I'm very grateful to have my story because I feel like it's educated people to know, like, be in tune with yourself. If you feel like something is not not right, it probably isn't. And in my case, I'm a prime example. The sinus infection, I tried to just camouflage it with that, but thankfully, I had that pain on my side that was persistent and didn't go away, or I would have dropped the ball probably. Um, and so one thing led to another, and we finally told my son and the rest of my family. I got a diagnosis through the bone biopsy, that it confirmed it was a stage 4 melanoma. And what that means is, if you're not familiar with stages, basically the higher the stage, the worse it is. Okay, so I was stage 4, and that's pretty bad.
How many stages
And
does it go?
4, yeah. And then I mean, so here I am sitting at the worst possible melanoma, but at the best melanoma too, if that makes any sense. It was
The most
contained.
treatable.
Nope, it
Okay.
wasn't in my brain. I had a PET scan, to know exactly if there was any other spots I was fighting, or if it was strictly on my side there, the mass, where all the cancer was. And I was very fortunate that it was isolated to the area. So we knew we had to treat that area. And that's where the radiation started, to treat the mass, to shrink it for pain control. And it did. It shrunk it down to literally nothing. You could barely even see the mass after I got finished with radiation. I feel like that was key in my treatment, the start for me, because I got the baseball size, lemon size mass down to a pea size. You couldn't even see it hardly in X-rays. And then followed up with our plan, which was immunotherapy. And immunotherapy, it's not chemo, but it's a therapy that uses your immune system to fight off the cancer. So basically, you're using your own health and you're using your own body to fight off melanoma. So you have to be in a healthy state before can really go through this. And so, being in the business that I am, I don't have a lot of customer contact face to face. I just have a lot of customer contact by the phone and email.
Mhm.
So I was very fortunate that I was able to still keep my job going, and still be healthy enough to have the treatments, through COVID. And I know 2020 was hot COVID year, and here we are 2023, but we were still seeing cases of flu and COVID, and illnesses are still floating around.
Yeah.
And so it's very scary when I'm going through treatment that I want to be at my best health possible. And so I'm very fortunate that I'm able to work from home. I work at a small clinic that I'm not around a lot of people, that I can't be healthy. Um, so that's kind of the
And by
plan.
the way, you've never missed a day other than for like surgical stuff.
Yeah, so I've missed. I know I've missed one full day of work, completely, and that's when I had my port put in. So I had my treatments, and they put me to sleep, so I didn't feel like I needed to be behind a computer that day.
I'd say.
So I took that day off, but I have not missed a day since. I've taken a half a day for treatment and just work late in the night. But as far as being touching my keyboard, I've been on it every day for the whole treatment. And let's see, I've gone through 29 treatments, so about a year and 2 months of treatments. And my plan is 2 years of treatment.
Wow.
So I still have a little bit time to go. And I get a CAT scan every 3 months, along with my immunotherapy treatments that I go to the clinic. I get a CAT scan, and the CAT scan just compares to the previous 3 months to see and make sure the cancer is still isolated, not moved, not spread in size, shape, and it's still gone. My numbers still look great. And so that's kind of where we're at. I go every 2 weeks, and the treatment takes about, an hour in clinic. Um, but they do blood work and you get to see the doctor. So sometimes I'm usually at the clinic 3 to 4 hours, but the actual procedure itself, getting my treatments, is fairly quick. Once they get me hooked up to my port and get everything going, that's fairly fast. And the side effects from the medicine, it's called Opdivo that I take. It's the only side effects for me is fatigue. I've been very tired. I feel like, the day 3 after my treatment is when it really kind of hits me like a brick wall, and I'm just kind of zapped.
Yeah.
And then I kind of get my strength up and going, and then you back at treatment day. 2 weeks later, I'm kind of getting to where I need to be, and then I'm knocked back down again with treatment. So that's really the only side effect that I have. I know you can have others with this medicine, but I've been very fortunate.
Wow. I mean, that in and of itself is inspirational because I'm sure there's someone who's listening to this that's probably thinking to themselves, damn, I have the sniffles and I take off work. And you've had a lemon-sized mass that broke bones basically,
Yeah.
and you're not taking off work. So where are we now?
So we're in treatment still. I'm gonna say, it's a remission type treatment. I don't think my cancer is active. First, I think they've gone long enough to where it's not spread, it's not growing size, it's contained, it's not, my numbers are looking great. Um, I'm on the same medication, which indicates to me that they're doing a maintenance type phase. And in 2 years, which I keep saying 2 years because when I initially had my appointment with my oncologist, that was the plan that he set up for me. He said that I would have treatment every 2 weeks for 2 years. And the medication that I would have would be Opdivo unless I had side effects or something come up. And I haven't. And so that's been my plan since day one. So I say 2 years. And so in 2 years, I don't know what will happen. I don't know if he'll put me on a more maintenance phase, and we'll have a treatment every 3 months, every 6 months. I don't know what that yet, what that holds. I haven't got that far yet. I just take it day by day right now. And the pain is, I'm still battling the pain, not so much the mass anymore. So you can't grow, it broke my rib cage, and you can't grow a rib. Unfortunately, you can't, and you can't have surgery on that area. So for me and my pain, my rib pain, there's really nothing I can do except the symptoms. Right now I'm dealing with some nerve pain, from the broken area. So I've had a nerve block to kind of isolate and deaden those nerves, which is helping. It's just kind of a time thing, to wait and see how good it does, and how well my body corresponds to that. I'm still dealing with some pain, still in active treatment. I would think the cancer is in a remission state right now, meaning that it's not spread, and my CAT scans that I'm having, we're not seeing any spots of concern, which is all great. Um, yeah, so that's how I see my dermatologist every 3 months. Still looking at body scans, and she treats me very, very proactively. So, I mean, any little spot she sees, she's like, I don't think it's anything, but what do you want to do?
Yeah.
And so my response is always freeze it off
Uh-huh.
and send it off. I'm not
Mhm.
taking any chances.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that's kind of where I am right now.
Wow. So, and which is great because when I hear you say things like in 2 years, there's not not everybody that gets cancer diagnosis are that fortunate that you're even talking 2 years.
Yeah,
And so
right.
that's obviously a very positive thing. But at the same token, it sounds to me like you're not being naive to the fact that, once you've had it, it can very possibly come back. And if you don't have your, head on a swivel, so to speak, you could miss the mark. And as you even mentioned, had you not been so stubborn and adamant about the getting the scans, who knows where you'd be.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, no one's exempt from getting cancer. It doesn't discriminate,
Yeah.
female or male or who you
Age.
are or what you do,
Mhm,
age.
mhm.
Doesn't no one is exempt from it. Some cancers, I feel like maybe could be hereditary, some may not. Melanoma is preventable. And we can take precautions and care for ourselves and wear sunscreen, get off of tanning beds, in my personal opinion. Limit, sun exposure, wear the hats, take precautions, but you know, it's kind of like just like one of those luck things. Take care of your skin, see your dermatologist, be proactive. If you see a spot that looks suspicious, biopsy it, get it removed, pray it for good reports. But if it comes back and it is melanoma, it's not doom and gloom. I mean, you can fight it, and here treatment is out there and it works. It's not fun, but it's there. And I struggle with the question of why me, putting the guilty party, on myself. Like, why was I selected to get cancer? Why was I the chosen one? And back then, when I got the diagnosis, I didn't know like the reason why. And so I just, at the time, I was just fighting to get everything under control. But now, looking back, I really think the why is because of the podcast. It opened up avenues for me to share my story for people that needs to hear it.
Yeah.
That's the good thing
Yeah.
out of all this.
Yeah. That you see that opportunity of, rather than woe is me and feeling sorry for yourself, you're looking at it as a
Let's
possibility
flip it.
to,
Yep.
yeah, the possibility to maybe help someone else. And as we've even discussed in this, I think I don't think, I'm fairly confident that most people take their skin for granted, and maybe not even for granted, but it's just kind of over your head unless you
Yeah,
have a spot or live, you were bald at a young age where it was a conversation piece. It's kind of an out of sight, out of mind thing for most people.
absolutely. Yeah, and I mean it was for me. Even 2017, when I had the spot removed, I really didn't go actively to a dermatologist even after that. I mean, I did for my initial 3 6 month checkup, but I didn't actively go like I do now. And no, you wouldn't go every 3 months, a normal
Yeah.
person that doesn't have melanoma. But I took it for granted. And thankfully, I had signs along the way that pushed me to get the testing I needed to get the results back fast before it did spread to any other organs. Could have got bad fast. And thankfully, I feel like I was on top of it fast enough to stop it. That seems bad that I had a lemon-sized mass break through my rib cage, but it could be a lot worse. It could have
Yeah.
went to my brain, could have went to other areas. So I do feel fortunate that I did was on top of it, was able to get it stopped in its tracks and get treatment. And I'm right here in town where my doctors, my everything is within 5 minutes of my house. So nothing pulls me away from work, my life. I'm right here. I can jump in the car, go down to my therapy clinic, whatever I need to do, and come right back. And I'm here for my family. So it's very convenient.
Yeah, I love it. And the doctors, are they kind of have a positive outlook at this point as well,
Yeah,
I assume?
yeah. So I tease my oncologist because he doesn't smile very much and he's very dry. But I mean, like, why would an oncologist be happy 24/7? They have to break the news to patients. They have life-threatening illnesses. Like,
Yeah.
they have cancer. Their
Yeah.
job is not fun.
Yeah.
So he's very stern, and he doesn't smile a lot. And I told him in the first appointment, I said, I'm going to break you. Like, I'm going to break you yet. And so the last few appointments, he's smiling and saying I'm doing great. And he's his attitude has I've seen him change from the very first appointment I had with him, just his mannerism and now. And it might be just me being comfortable with him now and a year and a half later. But he smiles at me, and that gives me a little bit of hope. Like, okay, I feel like I'm in the end zone here. I feel like we're seeing maybe the light at the tunnel, that we're at the end zone, we're at the end of the game. But I still, we're going to finish the treatment, the 2 years, and then there's still more work probably to be done, and I want to finish it off.
Yeah. Yeah. Probably perpetual now for the rest of your life, right?
Yeah, for
It
the
is
rest of my
really,
life, I'll
yeah.
battle it. Yeah,
Yeah. That's great. I'm glad to hear that. So your son graduated
yeah.
and is
He
he
graduated, and
awesome?
yeah, he's actually he finished his first year of college. He's about to start his second year, so he's moving right along. It really hasn't. I say it hasn't affected him. He probably keeps it inside, but he took it really well. But knew, finding out his mom had cancer, and but he didn't let it affect his grades, his schooling. Great kid. He had a great GPA. Kept his scholarship, so it didn't affect
Good.
him. It didn't affect him there. Yeah, we've had a fun time. For it to be as bad as it was okay. If
Yeah.
that makes sense,
Sure.
it was
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we're talking. There's something to be said, right? We're having this conversation now. It's turned into how can we inspire? How can you educate? And how can you bring light to someone else who might be going through something very similar, or just bring the education to someone who's not even thinking about this to say, man, yeah, I need it. I mean, and there's real. I mean, as someone who's been going to a dermatologist for a long time, it is so simple. Like you're literally just you're I'm just gonna call it you're being an idiot if you don't make a regular visit to go to the dermatologist because it's literally that simple. And for many,
Right.
like my wife, the dermatologist says I don't need to see you every year. For me, they say yeah once a year, and every year it's like you're fine. We'll see you next year. And then for my wife, it's like you're fine. We'll see you in 3 years or something like that. Like that's how
Mm-hmm.
dermatologists are. Um, so obviously, having gone through all of this, now you've clearly probably endured some massive medical bills at this point.
Yeah,
And
it's crazy.
so how can someone help?
Oh, so I don't know. I don't know.
If you
You caught
won't
me
say
off
it, I
guard.
will.
You
I
caught
mean,
me off guard on that question. I don't know.
well, there is a site. So this has been set up through obviously USA Mortgage, the company that you work for, because this podcast might air on a couple of different channels. And so there is a through this organization, there is a charitable foundation that Kelly Whitnauer runs, and so we'll share the link in the show notes for anybody that wants to help. Is there anything that anyone can do? Obviously, from that perspective, that's the obvious. Is there anything from that you can think of that you would say to someone like? Maybe share this podcast, maybe share
Yeah,
it so
no,
people get to know.
absolutely. Share and take care of yourself. Take care of yourself. Don't put the warning signs behind. Listen to your body. Everyone says listen to your body. I didn't really get that, but it's true. I mean, listen to your body. The sinus infection, looking back, now that I know how everything laid out, and I journal everything to this process. Looking back now, like, thank God I had a sinus infection that would not go away, because
Yeah.
I wouldn't have went to urgent care. I wouldn't have stayed on top of it. So that's key. And you know, for me, talk about melanoma, glance over your skin. If there's a spot that's, I say, bigger than the size of an eraser of a pencil, and it changes shape, or the shape is irregular, the color is different, it probably needs to be looked at. And
Yeah.
I'm a very, I don't like going to the doctor who does, but it's just became second nature to jump in the car and run down to the urgent care or dermatologist and have your body looked at. So that's the one thing that if I could just tell someone, get off the tanning beds, wear a hat, wear sunscreen, have your body scans checked for melanoma, for skip, for just any type of spots. If it turns out it is melanoma, it's treatable. It is. It may not be easy, but there's options out there. Catch it before it gets there, though. And that's the thing I want out. It can be treated, and you can prevent it.
Yeah. If somebody wanted to connect with you, is there a place that they can kind of follow you on social media, or is there, I
So
don't want to
yeah, like I
overwhelm
don't.
you.
Yeah, I don't really have, and I have my personal Facebook page, and it's not private. It's open, so anyone can review my page. But I update it with every treatment that I have, and a little catch up to where I am in life, about every 2 weeks. And but I don't have a specific page or anything other than my
Just your,
personal.
but your personal
Yeah,
page. Yeah. And so,
it's just page. Oh, yeah.
and that is your, maybe spell that just so everybody can
So
get
it's
the
it's Paige, Paige, and my last name is Knowles, and that's Noles.
awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah, if nothing else, just go friend and follow along on the journey. Maybe send some words of encouragement, and if you've got the means, again, we'll put the link to the bid pal in the show notes, and obviously you can reach out to me if you're listening to this. I see there's a hashtag Page Strong. Paige, obviously this has been, it's fun. I'm glad I got to do this with you. I think,
yeah,
um, I'm glad that you can bring light to this and have this conversation, because as simple as it sounds, it can be life threatening. And here you
absolutely.
are now being an inspiration to others, and overcoming and dedication to your work. And man, again, if somebody, again, we're thinking about all of the quote unquote problems that exist in this world today. And as
I
you
know.
know, in the month at the time that we're recording this is August, and some big changes in the real estate industry, and
Yes,
there's a lot of anxiety about that. Like, let me just tell you, real estate world, like, that's nothing. Like, yeah, that's nothing compared to what somebody like Paige has gone through. And take solace and sit back and recognize that most of our problems are not really problems, and we
no.
can battle through all of them. And so, Paige, thank you so much for sharing
Thank
today.
you. Thank you
Uh,
for having me. Thank you.
Absolutely. Go connect with Paige Nolan on Facebook, and we'll continue to follow along and watch you go, and hopefully help support you and your family. And
Yeah,
and
great.
I'm glad we got to do this.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
All righty, take care.
All right, bye.